I'm not quite sure how those videos made you feel, but bet there's a huge part of you that finds them probably pretty cringy. Look, we all know what being a teenager feels like you're wandering through a maze with a blindfold on. It's that phase where you are desperately trying to figure out who you are and where you fit in. And it's always been the kind of thing for us, even for me, of course, back during when I was a teenager, to latch onto characters or celebrities that we admire, and to mold ourselves to fit in with their mold. For most, it's easy to have this thought, like, damn, if I could just be like them, everything would fall into place. But honestly, there's where things kind of take a turn. Recently, there's been a disturbing trend where many teens go to extreme lengths to escape their own reality by faking mental illness and completely erasing their identities in favor of becoming someone else. We've covered this so much here on this channel, but now there's actually a new trend on TikTok that has taken storm. Yes, TikTok has become a hotbed for this. One disorder that's particularly popular for the dissociated identity disorder, or DID, where most TikTokers claim to have multiple personalities. And yes, that is already troubling enough. But what's even crazier is that most who are jumping on this trend don't really get what DID is even about. Instead of talking about their own personal experiences, they focus their content on characters and themes such as Hazbin Hotel. And quickly before we get into that, today is my birthday. And guys, if you wouldn't mind, please leave a comment down below saying hello. It's all I want for my birthday. It helps push the algorithm and I appreciate it massively. And I'll reply to every single one of them. Hazbin Hotel. What is it? Well, it's an American R-rated animated musical comedy. That was quite the mouthful. Set in hell. Nice. Created by Vivian Madrano, the pilot premiered on October 28th, 2019. It was co-written by Vivian and also Dave Capdeville, Daniel McDonald, and Raymond Hernandez, featuring songs by Perry Grip and music scored by Evan Alderete and Thomas Ryan. Now, I'm pretty sure I probably just about butchered every single one of those names, so please don't bully me in the comments. Jeez, give me some slack. Well, anyway, on August 7th, 2020, it was announced that Hazbin Hotel had been picked up by the independent entertainment production company A24 and would soon be airing on TV. The series was actually released on January 19th, 2024. But what's it about, Papa Ablaze? What is it all about? Well, the story follows Charlie, the princess of hell, obviously, who's sick and tired of the yearly extermination where angels come in and wipe out some of the overcrowded sinners. Her bold plan is to establish a hotel known as, you probably guessed it, Hazbin Hotel, aimed at rehabilitating demons and guiding them towards heaven. It's a wild idea, and even her demon buddies like the loyal Vaggie and the troublemaking Angel Dust. And lo and behold, the show quickly gained a massive fan base for its impressive animation, catchy songs, and the unique concept of a demon-reformed school. However, like most fan bases, there's also some crazies, and the show's themes of redemption and psychology might have attracted some viewers who got shit twisted about DID.
What? What? They say insane shit all the time. How was I supposed to know this one was true?
Bank accounts are a scam created by the shadow government.
See?
This led to a new trend. Ugh. Why? Why does it always have to lead to a new trend? Where many TikTokers created content claiming their DID systems or groups of identities within one person included characters from the show. If you're wondering around about now, but Ablaze, what seems to be the problem with this? If you happen to know anyone that actually suffers with this awful disorder, please go ask them if it's even possible to alter as someone from a TV show. Look at their reaction. I'm sure you'll probably get the picture. It's even gotten so bad now that it even has its own genre. I mean, if you type up Hazbin Hotel dissociative identity disorder, it literally has its own thing on Google. It's honestly just disgusting at this point.
I'm sick and tired of every single video with Alice's name in the little description, because it's the one that's recording, getting a fuck ton of likes and views. Probably just because it's Alistair doing it. I think that's just the whole thing. I think you guys see Alistair's name and are like, oh, I better fucking like it, dear daddies.
Will I ever stop being a sarcastic asshole? Find out next week on I Think the Fuck Not.
People with this disorder call themselves systems, but what does it mean? Well, essentially it means they have different personalities, known as alters, that take turns controlling their body. When a new alter takes over, it's called switching. They've even got a name for people without DID. They call them singlets. Burn. Damn man, I guess I'm a singlet. I'm so upset right now. And sometimes it's not even said in the nicest way. People actually use that as an insult, by the way. So think about that. Singlets. I said it. I have no idea what about 90% of these fakers are even kind of going on about, but they take it really serious. And unfortunately, the mental health stigma has been around for ages, and it's still kicking in our society. Other researchers have dug deep into this topic, exploring layers of prejudice and stigma. Look, I mean, I get it. Calling out someone for faking a disorder isn't exactly an easy thing, especially for those who have actually been diagnosed for real. But seriously, take a scroll through TikTok and you'll see a flood of people claiming to have DID. At this point, it just makes you wonder, like, are they really dealing with this mental disorder, or are they just chasing clout, hopping on likes and views? Well, one thing that doesn't quite match up in their stories of people with dissociative identity disorder on TikTok is how their different selves develop and when it happens. Some talk about their different personalities growing and changing over time, which makes sense because DID is a complex thing, but then you have others who seem to switch up their personalities real quick or without much explanation. This makes you think if their experiences are real or if they're just making it up.
It's a good thing there are multiple takes on this device, because I have been having quite the time. Anyway, let's try to get it right this time. My name is Alistair. I am very old, but also not at all old. I died young, and that is what I'm sticking to. I am a male, have experimented a little bit with agender. Repeating myself is getting very tedious. My sexuality is aromantic, asexual, and I am proud of it. I'm very tired of this device. My ethnicity is Creole, mixed Creole, and also a demon. My role here is to be the physical protector, and I have been here since January 2020. I quite hate this.
The way that these TikTokers talk about when these different personalities pop up can be a bit all over the place. Sometimes it seems like they change their personalities out of the blue, which doesn't really fit what we know about DID or how it even works. What is dissociative identity disorder, DID, really about? Dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder, is quite a puzzle in the world of psychology. So, it's like having multiple characters living inside your head, each with its own backstory, traits, and quirks. But the story of how these alters come to be is far from simple. First off, trauma is a trigger. I know many people on TikTok have seemed to have claimed that you don't need trauma for DID, but that couldn't be further from the truth and is kind of a prime example of what happens when misinformation really takes off on the internet. It's just a recipe for a disaster. But traumatic events particularly those occurring during childhood and often including severe abuse, neglect, or other forms of interpersonal violence, serves as the catalyst for the dissociative process. When facing with an overwhelming past that exceeds their capability to cope, someone with real and actual DID may dissociate, mentally disconnecting from their surroundings and emotions as a means of self-preservation. Basically, think of it as your brain trying to protect itself. Imagine your mind as a fortress, and each altar is like a guardian stationed at a different gate. Each altar may encapsulate specific aspects of somebody's identity, embodying unique roles, memories, and coping strategies tailored to address particular stresses or threats. For example, one altar may emerge to bear the brunt of the traumatic memories, shielding the core personality from direct exposure to the distressing experiences. When something triggers that past memory, maybe a sound or a smell or even a certain emotion, one of those altars jumps into action, and we call it switching. Switching serves as a defense mechanism to merge the overwhelming emotions or threats associated with traumatic stimuli, allowing altars to regulate the person's responses and protect them against more psychological harm. But honestly, it's so frustrating. I mean, how would you even know that most TikTokers fake DID? Well, people with real DID don't often even realize they have altars or even experience memory lapse. When an altar is in control, it's like waking up from a dream and not remembering how you got there. Someone who is suffering with this disorder may conceal their condition due to fear of stigma, disbelief, or even just misunderstanding from others. You might even be wondering, how do we even know all of this? Well, thanks to the advances in neuroscience and psychology, we've been able to peek inside the brains of people with DID and see what's going on. Neuroimaging studies have revealed differences in the brain structure and function among individuals with the disorder, giving us a better understanding of how DID works on a biological level. And although I'm sure most people watching this video go on TikTok quite regularly, you'd be quite surprised to know that only about 1.5% of people worldwide have actually been diagnosed with DID. And honestly, it's often misdiagnosed and usually needs multiple evaluations for an accurate diagnosis. Which, look, I get it. Now going on TikTok, you would think it's about 80% of the population. It's just not even close. People with this condition often show self-harming behaviors and the attempt to unalive themselves. So once you understand how this disorder really works, it becomes easier to spot fakers like these.
You don't have access to therapy right now? Just create a has-been hotel in your mind for the persecutors.
Whoa.
Why? What's wrong? What's wrong with that?
Are you making more interjects?
No. Just the hotel.
Oh, like to redeem them?
Yeah, to redeem persecutors.
I feel like then you're gonna get introduced.
You doze off, so I take your country girl clothes off. I put my hands on your body. It feels like, hey, it's a
DID usually starts before the age of 8, when kids are still growing up. So these TikTokers saying that they got their altars from childhood abuse shown in Has Been Hotel would have had to seen the show and experienced the trauma before they turned 8. But as I mentioned earlier, the show only came out after 2019. So if they're saying that altars came from later trauma, it's hard to believe altars formed later in their life, usually less complex and not as aware as those made in early childhood. And again, people with DID often don't remember much about their altars, so claiming to know and control them from childhood trauma just doesn't add up. Plus, saying these altars protect them from childhood trauma shows they don't really understand what DID is about. Altars don't protect against trauma, They help manage through emotions and keep bad memories separated. Claiming they do otherwise reveals a lack of understanding about DID. Also, Hazbin Hotel is rated for mature audiences with its 17+ rating and graphic content, requiring an age-restricted paywall. Despite its animated style and fan base, it features profanity, 18+ jokes, and discusses of death and sin. Given these restrictions, it's improbable that children under the age of 8 could access this content independently. So if these teens only started watching recently, it's hard to believe they suddenly developed these complex alters inspired by the show. Most die-hard Hazbin Hotel fans have really gone above and beyond in their own obsession and have actually now started to romanticize having DID, because you know, what's more appealing than having a bunch of alter egos running around in your head, right? So epic and quirky and cool. Sick. But really, they've just turned a serious mental health condition into TikTok's latest trend. It's just sad. I mean, talk about taking fandom to a whole new level of weird.
Because I literally went from kidnapped by a horrible media organization for entertaining an audience to I live in Victorian London in a house with Kenny from South Park and Eevee from Pokemon, where I am a single father to them, and we have a swimming pool. And sometimes I help it.
So the characters and themes in Hazbin Hotel touch upon serious issues like abuse and narcissism. When people claim to have alters based on these characters, it just shows they're deeply involved in the show. Now, to think about the psychological side of things, if someone's alter is rooted in themes of abuse or narcissism, it might show behaviors that reflect those themes. These behaviors could be harmful as fuck, either to themselves or to others. That's why it's important to realize the potential harm in treating such serious shit lightly. I mean, when people generally want to raise awareness about mental health, they usually engage in serious discussion and share useful resources. But making crazy videos about alters could inadvertently trivialize significant issues and undermine the credibility of people facing genuine struggles. And even those who watch these videos in this trend might find it hard to distinguish between honesty and just straight up bullshit. I mean, take this article for example. It's honestly kind of amusing that the DID TikTok community, mainly prioritizing of kids no older than the age of 15, with all these colorful, wacky hair colors, honestly believe that they know more than the doctors. Well, guess what? Some doctors feel the same way about them. Another thing to consider is why people have alters in the first place. Alters are supposed to protect someone from harm. But if these alters are coping with harmful behaviors, making them public goes against their purpose. Sharing vulnerabilities that should stay hidden can make things worse for the person involved. So to wrap things up, it's pretty clear that the whole TikTok trend is just another passing phase. What's popular today, like joining on these Hazbin Hotel DID fakers, might not be tomorrow. But we've got to remember it's okay to feel a bit lost and want to fit in, but pretending to have a serious mental condition really isn't the way to go, as it really spreads so much misinformation, which inadvertently does the opposite of what everybody is trying to achieve. On the one hand, people that actually suffer with this, it makes them a laughingstock, it makes them a joke, and I'm sure it just makes them even more depressed, which I'm sure these kids aren't trying to do, but that's what happens at the end of the day. Also, spreading misinformation online helps other people that want to fake this on TikTok, which then leads back to people making this whole thing just one big joke, when it's really not. because very real people suffer with this every single day. And if you thought that was bad, and it certainly was, check this out, where a TikToker with a large following decides to fake seizures, only to inevitably get called out, have Google Docs made about her, and for her fans to finally turn on her as well. You can click on screen or link in the description to watch that. It's pretty insane.